What's up, everyone? It's Danny Green here, back with more Inside the Green Room on NBC Sports Philadelphia. It's my co-host, Harrison Sanford. In this episode, we're joined by former Philadelphia Eagle, Chris Long, shares championship vibes. We also get a chance to answer some of the questions in our mailbag. Let's get into it.
What are the similarities between Danny's Philadelphia 76ers and Chris Long's Super Bowl winning Philadelphia Eagles? He'll answer that question in a bit in our next segment. But before we do that, Danny, I have some questions in the mailbag. And I also wanted to point out a new trend that I'm seeing with the Sixers broadcast. As we're recording this year, leading the NBA in three-pointers made in the corner. And you'll probably, if everything goes according to plan, you'll probably finish the season leading the league in three-pointers from the corner. So they've now dubbed that area where you're doing the Danny Green cut, which you and I know is really the Charlie Ward cut. They're now dubbing that area Greenhouse. What do you think?
It's not bad, man. Listen, I can't take credit for the Charlie Ward cut, and I'm sure it was before some people before that, but I also learned that fake backdoor cut from some guys that I played with and against. Been able to get loose. Obviously Joel creating double teams, but I like to call it, I don't really move much in our offense. It's people, get to your home, DG phone home, that corner, that little red area, that's home for me. But the greenhouse is not a bad one.
DG phone home. I kind of like that one. I've been trying to find a GIF on Twitter, something along the lines of "I want my corners," like a little that. Yeah, I can't. I need to make a GIF and kind of use it from The Wire or something like that. I'll figure it out. But before we get to Chris Long, let me get to at least one question out the mailbag. I want to thank all of our audience for sending in questions. Promise we will get to more of them in our next episode, where we'll preview the Sixers' first round matchup or an overview of their entire regular season. This one comes on Instagram, which we're Inside the Green Room on Instagram. This one comes from Lean Bulk Flex. His question: what's the best and worst thing about being an NBA player?
Ooh, that's a great question, man.
It is.
The best thing, there's not many worse things. The best thing is like Christmas every day. You get to play your favorite sport for a job and obviously make tons of money to be able to support your family, friends, community, however you want to do it, however you choose. But you do that as a job, and you get to receive gifts every day. You get a lot of perks, you get a lot of free stuff. You get to travel and see the world and meet so many people, from rap artists to presidents to mayors, so many various names for various groups of important people, because you can play, basketball, play a sport that you love. The worst part of it is the stresses. A lot of those things at the same time, where you have to juggle many plates, where you have to you're the head of the household, you're the head of the team. You have to make sure you're playing and you're competing against not just the other team, it can be against players on your team, coaching staff. You have to win, do well, try to get another contract, but also take care of everybody in your family. So the things that are a blessing can sometimes be a stress and could be, a hassle for most guys. But I always like to think those are good problems, but it depends on who you're asking. But there's not that many worst things that I can think of when it comes to playing a basketball player.
No,
you could talk about the criticisms we get from the internet people. That's probably one of the worst things. Social media, bullying, maybe could be one of the worst things, but there's not that many bad things out there.
For sure. Chris actually talked about some of the kickback that you can get from fans. So as I referenced it, we might as well go to it. We'll be right back with Inside the Green Room.
What's up, everybody? We're back with more Inside the Green Room. My co-host, Harrison Sanford, and my guy, Chris Long. Pleasure to have you, man, on the show. I did yours a while back. Thank you for joining us. Are you going to pull up to Wells Fargo sometime this year, or check out a game, or are you back? Oh, you didn't go back to California, but are you outside of town? Where are you at these days?
Yeah, so I'm in Virginia, and I would gladly take a trip up to Philly, man. That building, there's a lot of energy in there. There was energy before I retired, and now it's got to be nuts. So I can't wait to get up there.
Part of the reason why we wanted to have you on the show today is because I'm seeing a lot of similarities between your Super Bowl run with the Eagles and Danny's potential, NBA Finals, Eastern Conference Finals, NBA championship run with the Philadelphia 76ers.
Absolutely. I mean, with that city, and Danny's getting to, you probably got to know it before, but this is intense, right? I mean, just the buzz, man. I can feel that buzz from a little ways away with basketball. You don't have to be in the city right now to know that people are freaking out about, Embiid's MVP type year. veteran leadership, that infusion of guys like DG and Dwight Howard, who everybody's like, oh, Dwight Howard, Chris, you're the Dwight Howard, like you're the vet that came in, and UNLG and those type of vets, like that's the infusion that like championship teams have. And like DG's been on a ton of championship teams. And so like, I just feel like it's that unexpected underdog angle, relatively speaking, because you guys are still super talented and in the mix. Like when we got into that year, we were like picked in the bottom quarter of the league. So like, you guys have some talent, and then like you got those vets that come in and they know how to win, and they hit big shots and they play big minutes and they do the dirty work. And like that was kind of what we had. We had an influx of like a guy like Patrick Robinson, who catches the biggest interception in Eagles playoff history, probably. Then you get LeGarrette Blount, who's a workhorse out of the backfield. Guys like myself, Torrey Smith. So I do see similarities.
Can you take Danny through what it meant to play in front of Philadelphia fans during the playoffs, the good, and maybe there was some bad? Can you give Danny maybe a primer for what he could expect?
And, like, as you mentioned earlier, we were kind of playing with house money a little bit in people outside the building's eyes, although still a month after your MVP caliber quarterback goes down, like we win a couple games, they expect to see us winning again. Like, they expect us to play like a #1 seed, but there was definitely that kind of house money, like kind of feeling. And that's great for a team, right? Like, so especially in Philly, where the expectations are big. But I just love what I love about Philly is, that anybody like who's an Eagles fan or a Sixers fan, like they have battled it out for years. Like they've had their highs, they've had their great players, storied moments, and they've been able to like be kind of hallmark type franchises without like winning so much that you got a bunch of front runners in the fan base. And I think that's a really cool zone to live in when you enter a city like that that's doing big things in your sport, and especially when you come out of nowhere. So I think the expectations are tough, but golly, man, like I'd rather earn somebody's respect, that it was tough to earn that respect, than just get respect automatically, because that's what we're after. And like if you're respected in Philly, like you're untouchable, dude. Like it's just the best place to be respected in the world in sports, in my opinion. And that's why, like, bringing home a championship, like we're good there, and that's a good feeling.
Sure, man, definitely, I agree. It is a tough place, very
Yeah.
similar to, this is my first time hearing it, being from New York, where they call it like the sixth borough. So the fans are very similar to New York fans, and they'll check you, they'll boo you, man, when you're not playing up to par. I think we had it the other night when we were playing New Orleans. We were up pretty big. They came back and they took the lead. Fans let us know, you guys aren't doing your job. But I do remember being on the other side of it, playing against Philly, from an opposing team, and how how electric that building was, the atmosphere, and how much they were behind them. So I know it's a very tough place to play. So I'm excited to play in that building, obviously on the right side. I'm gonna say the right side, but the Philly side of it,
the easy side.
Yeah, the easier side of it. So we'll see how well they support us. But it is a tough fan base. They said you have to earn their respect, but they're behind you every step of the way, and they make the building electric instead of make it harder for the opposing teams to come in there and get any wins. So take us down your memory lane of the parade. And do you get excited thinking about that? That could be a possibility if we have one. And will you join us if we have one?
Hell
and
yeah,
tell us about your favorite moment of that day. What sticks out the most for you from that day?
Listen, first off, I've never turned down a parade. And as fun as it is, and as immortal as you feel, it's the best part of winning a championship, right? It's like one of them, at least. In football, to me, it's the best. I always wanted to be on the other side of it too. Like when you see people just having so much fun down there, and like they've been up since 3 a.m, partying and waiting for that one couple buses to roll by, right? And then their day is pretty much over as it pertains to the parade, but they're having the best day ever. And a lot of those people that line those streets had been waiting 50 years. So for me, it sends chills down my spine just to think about it. Like what we did really set in that day. It really did. It was like everything came to fruition for us, and that realization right there that like we're good here. They could win another 10, but we're #1, dude. Like we're the first. And
Forever
they
be
might have
remembered.
other parades here, but it'll never be like this one. So it would be really cool to be on the other side of it too. So if y'all win, I'm gonna round out about 5-10 of us, and we'll be out there in the streets watching you guys.
That would be amazing, man. I never even thought of it from that point of view, of being like in the crowd. I honestly would love to see how that perspective, how that would be as well.
It'd
So
probably be pretty blurry, just like it was on the floats.
for sure, for sure. But was there anything particular from that day when you guys had your parade that sticks out the most? Because I've had a couple. I've been lucky. I've had two. One was on the Riverwalk. I had one in Toronto. It took 5-6 hours, which is 4 hours longer than it should have. We didn't get a chance to do one in LA, but I have a couple of memories, a couple of moments of certain teammates that I remember vividly that stuck
Yeah.
out. Do you have any stories or anyone that sticks out the most?
But I just think about like mostly the George Clooney tequila that I was drinking. No, honestly, for me, it was the fact that like, okay, if you followed that parade and what, like I wasn't one of the very best players on the team, but it was fun because I was like, yeah, I was one of the dogs, and I was a vet, and I made big plays for us so I felt good about like I was a big part of it. And so, I went down to Mitchell and Ness, bought like dudes, like we bought like 100 jerseys. So shout out to those guys down in Philly. And Fletch got his Reggie White, and like I was just throwing them out in the locker room, and I had my fur coat that came in the night before from a costume shop in LA. And then the coolest part was my AI jersey. So like my best buddy, Marcus Hagans, grew up down there near Chuck, and they're tight. And so Chuck sent me a jersey that night and some shoes and everything. So like AI had a jersey delivered. I got the fur coat in the night before, and just like I'll always remember, like, before Christmas, you can't sleep when you're a kid. It was the same thing before the parade. And what made matters worse is I was living in Fairmount, which I love Fairmount, but it was like 3 a.m. I could hear EAGLE. And, I was waking up and I was saying, damn, I felt like I only slept 2 hours. It must be 6 a.m. It must be 6 a.m. I kept checking my phone, 1:47 in the morning, 3:30 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning. They did not sleep. I have no idea how they did it, but just like waking up and, the first drink when you drink in the morning, it was the best drink I've ever had.
So going back to that 2017 season, Chris, you donated your base salary to charitable donations, and some of them being in cities that you played in, St. Louis, or from at least, and played in St. Louis, Boston, Philadelphia, and obviously gave some money back to Charlottesville. At that time, Barack Obama was quoted as saying, "Is what you were doing was quote unquote what's right in America." How did you feel to get that acknowledgement from Barack at that time, and what did it mean to you to just have those charitable donations in general and give up your base salary to do such?
I was really honored. I mean, like when you do something good, I hope people would know my heart, and anybody that played with me would know the type of guy I am. Like, I want to walk the walk, and I also don't want to do it for the credit. And I struggled to find my way as far as like how to be charitable early in my career and try to keep too much stuff under wraps. And what I was losing in my quest to like be humble about giving, which was stupid, was fan engagement. And like your biggest tool, your biggest asset is the people who watch you play and support you and buy tickets. And we do clean water implementation work in East Africa through Water Boys. Philly fans, to no fault of their own, have no idea that water scarcity is big an issue. Maybe, you live in the United States, and for the most part, you turn on the faucet and clean water comes out for the most part. But these are problems that we need to solve as people. And I think like I was stupid not to use the fans earlier in my career, but towards the end of my career, I realized when I started a foundation, if I want to get things done, I need them behind me. And so when I got to Philly, there was just so much stuff going on. I mean, I can remember listening to that last sad excuse for a leader after the events of August 12th in Charlottesville, which is my hometown. not that it matters, it's my hometown. I mean, before it was my hometown, it was somebody else's, and before that, somebody else's and somebody else's. So I feel selfish even saying like I relate, like it pisses me off more. But you're naturally going to be. And I just remember sitting in the parking lot that day and being so mad, dude. And I was mad because, like, you know, I'm an American, and this is not, you know, we know we've never gotten it right, but we at least are hoping we can get it right. And I just was like, I've never felt like worse about A, being from Charlottesville, B, being a white dude, like, you know, and seeing my teammates really hurting over what was going on, and C, you know, just if I don't take action, that kind of goes against my code of who I am. And so I said, how can I get involved in the conversations that I've been in the middle of with action? And I've been in the middle of conversations with, you know, Cap and kneeling, and I've been in the conversations about like, well, I want to fix, you know, do my part in fixing the country. And I hadn't really done anything other than use my voice. So we shifted focus from clean water a little bit, and we worked in education. Now I've always given back to Boys and Girls Club. We've given back to after school programs, but we wanted to do a fan interactive campaign. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I was real generous, but what I did do is I took advantage of my platform, and I gave my base salary, which I'm not downplaying, didn't change my life. But I wanted it to change some other people's lives. And I also wanted to put some action behind the words. And so we donated to a bunch of educational equity you know, programs, from Summer Search in Philly and Boston to Little Bit Foundation in St. Louis, where I played, to scholarships in my hometown. And people responded. And that gave me a lot of hope that year, because it was a dark time, and there's still a lot of darkness, but just knowing that there were a lot of people that, you know, picked up the torch and doubled our investment in educational equity that year, that restored my faith. And kind of, we got a shot. You know, there's a lot of great people out there and a lot of great fans. I know there's so much warranted negativity, but that energized me. And so I love giving back to the educational stuff, because I wasn't a dumb kid. I was a smart kid, but I was scared of school. You know, I was a C student. You know, I was slower than the other kids as far as like learning and picking things up. And I went to a good private school, and I had all the resources, but I still sucked. And my thing is like, I can't imagine how hard it would be if I didn't have those resources. So I said the quickest way that we can fix, or I can do my part, would be through educational equity.
That's dope, man. That's amazing. We need more guys like you in that position. Lucky enough that we've been been blessed. I was lucky enough to be taught that, or put in that position at an early age, from my high school to college. Coach Williams had us working with Special Olympics, Boys and Girls Club in high school. San Antonio Pop was big on it. So I was pretty much, I guess, raised into learning how to give back to the community. But it's dope that you use your platform that way. You use your salary. It's admitting that you're aware and spreading awareness of what's going on in not just your hometown, but in the world, in America, and trying to make change. Man, we need more of that. I said, a lot of us, we do it. We don't do it for the credit. We're doing it to you know, give back and to walk the walk, and to make change in our hometowns first, but also around the world, to make it a better place, not just for us, but for our kids and those that come after us. So it's dope to see that, man. And the Green Light podcast, where did that come from, man? I feel like that might have been one of the things I had on the list to use, but I don't think we could use it, and we didn't know who took it or not. But how did that come about?
You know what, man? I always respected you from a distance, and you had a podcast that used to be called something different. So I was like, well, let me make sure. Okay, we're good. We're in the clear. But honestly, dude, like, for me, I didn't want my podcast to be like my name, like Fourth and Long or something. Like, I just feel like when you hear that, you're like, okay, this guy's just going to talk about football, and like, it's just going to be kind of a meathead thing. And I love talking about everything, dude. Like, we talk about everything under the sun, and for the most part, we'll go pretty much anywhere. And so for me, you know, green light, my favorite color. Look at the walls in my room.
Good color,
my truck's green. My podcast is called the Green Light Pod.
They say geniuses pick green, so I don't know.
There we go, dude.
Doing something there.
What?
So
Harrison, don't make that face.
Yeah, I've heard that.
What?
I've heard that.
Yeah.
Late, mate.
What?
You know why Harrison does not know this? Because Harrison
He's
does
not a genius.
watch. He doesn't watch that too, but he does not watch movies. If you
What
watch,
movie said this? What is this?
I'm forgetting.
Meet the Parents.
Oh, Meet the Parents. Yeah.
Oh, so now we're taking all of
Panama
our
Red.
advice from Meet the Parents. Is that
Robert
that's
De
what
Niro.
happening
Who doesn't
now?
listen to Robert De Niro? Robert De Niro's he's a genius himself.
Just rewatched that the other night. It's just as funny as it was the first time, which is rare for a movie.
Maybe I have to rewatch that movie. But before we go, Chris, you alluded to it. You don't always talk about football, but we got you here, so we might as well talk about football just a little bit, tad bit. So Doug Peterson is going as the head coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. Nick Sirianni is in. Jalen Hurts is the starting quarterback. Carson Wentz is with the Indianapolis Colts. They've drafted Devontae Smith, who was actually at Danny's one of his most recent games. What do you have them doing here in the NFC East?
I don't know if the Eagles are necessarily going to get a lot better, but I do think they're going to build. And, you know, what you've done by not taking a quarterback this year is you have put all your eggs in the Jalen Hurts basket. You had a chance at 6 to stay there, snag somebody, trade up. You didn't. You invested in Jalen Hurts, and you especially invested in him because next year, name me a couple elite quarterbacks coming out in that draft. We don't know a lot of them. Rattler, the kid at OU, maybe the kid at UNC, your guy, who I really like down there, Sam Howell. But overall, dude, they kind of put all their eggs in Jalen's basket. So Jalen's got to have a good year. Devontae Smith, love him. Had him on the pod last week. Great kid. He's a great player. I think it'll translate. And you take pressure off Jalen Reagor. I worry about the defense a little bit, second level. They've never had great linebackers. They're reshuffling some people in the back end. The front's always good. I think they're an 8-win team, 9-win team, depending on how things shake out. 17 games this year, so could be up at 10 if they have, higher ceiling than I think. Competitive. It's a building year.
Yeah, no, I'm very much looking forward to what can happen with them. As you've been on the show that I do with Aqib Talib, and he's very excited about them. Danny, we're hoping that after you potentially win an NBA Finals, you got a little bit of off time. You can just make the walk right across the street. Go to Lincoln Financial Field. That's right there. That whole sector right there is a lot of fun, especially when teams are winning. And we hope that's what happens for all Philadelphia teams and the Sixers right now as they get ready for the playoffs. Chris, this was great. Guys, subscribe, rate, review, leave a nice little note for Chris. If you enjoyed this, you'll definitely enjoy the green light. Danny, any last words?
Nope. Read, rate, subscribe, review. Chris, man, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate you much. Hopefully we can have that parade, and then hopefully I'll catch one of those games as well.
I'll see you at a game, dude. Good luck and stay healthy, bro.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.